I want to go on, Corey, if I can. United States, President Trump, he signed an executive order. This is about guiding police reforms in relation to the protests and how they change the way the police force works. It's very different than in Australia. I think people need to understand a lot of it's municipal, like local councils run the police. It's not statewide systems like we do here. So it is a very different beast. But what did you make of his executive order?
Well, I think President Trump's been forced to make some changes here, but I really do think we have to understand the culture in America. You're right about there are municipal police, there are traffic cops, but ultimately the gun culture in America means that any potential engagement with a citizen may mean that they are armed, and so the police, quite wisely so, are a bit precautionary about it. And so they're always going to be, I'm not justifying some of the events that have occurred, but I can understand why they are deeply concerned when they've been painted as targets by political figures, by community leaders. They've made as scapegoats for the deaths of people who are rampant criminals, and they just are now targets themselves. So they're a bit concerned about what the implications of interactions with certain groups will be. So Trump had to do something, but I really do think that the blame for this doesn't lie with the police force itself. I think it's with those who have engendered such hatred towards the police and undermine their authority and their credibility. And that goes back to the previous presidency, quite frankly.
And look, who would want to be in America with all of its well-documented gun culture and be in a situation where you go to call the police 911 in the middle of the night and there's no one there because you don't have a police force anymore? I mean, James, you've lived that life. Get them to perform better, clean up particular boroughs if you have to, but I don't understand this idea that we go down the path of anarchy and we get rid of police, all intents and purposes.
Peta, it's really, really scary. I lived in New York City. I grew up in New York City in the pre-Giuliani period, and I can tell you what, it wasn't a lot of fun. There were over 2,000, 2,500 murders a year. Everybody you knew was a victim of crime. You would not take the subway after certain hours, and even when you did, you risked being set upon. This whole abolish police movement that we're seeing all over the place, and let's be clear, it's not about defunding or anything. It's about abolishing. People have said this clearly in the New York Times and elsewhere. The end result is, well, number one, cops are now walking off the jobs. They're striking. They are saying, we're not going to do this job because we're not being supported by our leaders, the politicians, especially in these Democrat cities, who seem to be almost more on the side of Antifa than they do on the side of the police. What the end result of this, Peta, is going to be a very sad and tragic situation. We're going to see basically everybody getting the amount of protection they can afford. So people who live in wealthy suburbs will be able to afford private security patrols and things like that. I'll tell you what, they're not going to have internal affairs, and everybody else will have to pay protection money.
Absolutely right. Corey Bernardi, James Morrow, on that very sorry note, got to leave it there, but thank you as always for your insights for my international panel on a Thursday. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thanks, Peta.